Hey folks, it's good to be back for another exciting week of Yoml. This is the Year of Magical Learning podcast. So today we are doing Reflection 242, and I guess this one is a new book. We finished the part five of our favorite book, Anti-Fragile, last week. So this is a Brave New World. So let's see what we got.
Yeah, so Brave New World, another dystopian um, uh, 20th century masterpiece about written in the 1930s by this guy named Aldous Huxley. The reason why I ended up reading both 1984 and A Brave New World, because you saw how they're kind of following in subsequent fashion, was from that Amusing
You got
Ourselves.
into a kick.
It did. Well, it was from that Amusing Ourselves to Death book, which actually I
Uh,
got that from another book that I had recently finished right before that. So and Amusing Ourselves to Death, like he talked a ton about 1984 and Aldous Huxley
mm,
and Brave New World. I'd never even heard of A Brave New World before, but I guess this is like a really famous novel from the 20th century. And so because I'd heard of 1984, that's why I read that one first, and then I was like, that was kind of interesting. All right, I'll check out A Brave New World. So that's how I ended up on this book, and I actually really liked it. It was really good. I liked them both actually. I think 1984 was better overall personally, but this one was also really interesting and good. So the title of this one is For Ford's Sake, Emotions Are Not Our Enemy. And I'll explain. So the started off this reflection with the words stability, and because I listened to this as an audio book, this is by an English author, and it was read by an English guy, and he was like stability. He says it like all the time, kind of like just like that. So every time I hear this word, all I can ever think of is stability.
yeah.
So in this Brave New World, by the way, just got to set the stage a little bit. They whenever they get mad or whenever they're happy or whatever, they say things like, for my Ford, like, what, and for Ford's sake, and things like that, right? So because they worship like Henry Ford, like
Mhm.
the automotive manufacturer maker, Henry Ford, because of like how good he was at like perfecting things and like breaking down the things to like perfect um little combination, right? For stability and for all the things that he was able to bring to the table. So he's like their hero. Is Henry Ford. So they say instead of God, they say Ford. So like instead of like God damn it, it's like Ford, damn it, so so that's why the title was for Ford's sake, like emotions are not. I think it's funny. So I was like joking around. I could see myself on a tennis court just yelling Ford, like instead of fuck, because that's what I normally would be yelling after I get mad at myself. But um, uh, anyway, so moving on past that little fun quick note, I just wanted to describe the title a little bit. The 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 Brave New World, right? This society, they were governed by these three things called community, identity, and stability. Like that was like
Stability.
stability. So everything in the Brave New World was like, that's what was like planned on all their like government buildings is
Mhm.
community, identity, stability. So this was their motto, this is their mantra, this is their seventh generation committee meeting, when they all got together and they're like, hey, this is how we're gonna like prosper together is through community, identity, and stability. So what they did,
Stability.
stability. Uh, so what they
You
did
get me doing
was
it now.
well, I mean, you should listen to the audiobook because you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. It's really funny. The uh so this is how they plan to prosper in this society and the Brave New World. What they do is like they don't really have parents anymore. They don't really have a nuclear family anymore. They when children are born, they're taken to um, uh, um, they're like conditioned. They try to condition their emotions out of them basically. Through like societal programs and things like that, where they all are kind of brought up in the same way and slowly have their emotions conditioned out of them, and then through the rest of their life, their emotions are regulated by this stuff called by pharmaceuticals. They call it soma. SOMA is the drug that they take. So it's like this like perfect drug that keeps you like at a perfect state of like happiness. So whenever you feel like, down a little bit, take a little bit more soma, or whenever you feel good, take a little bit more soma, but like
Is
there's
that the
limits to
purple
it.
pill?
Huh?
Is that the purple pill?
I don't know. I don't know. I can't remember. I can't remember what soma. I don't think it's real, but uh, uh, it's a drug that numbs any sort of discomfort from anxiety or stress or general uneasiness. I think it's just a fake drug. But in all seriousness, it's kind of like, this is written back in the 1930s, and we've gotten closer and closer. We always are striving for this like perfect, Zoloft or something, that we can just regulate our emotions, where we can always stay at this like perfect level. So in theory, based on this book, like, they say like this is a non-harmful drug. You can't really OD on it. You can't really, take too much. There's like a limited amount you can take over the course of a lifetime. But anyway, so you get the point, right? So in order to have community, identity, and stability, they take these children, they rank them into like you're like an alpha, you're a beta, you're whatever. They like class rank them, and then they teach them how to be in that class, and then they regulate their emotions throughout the rest of their lifetime. So this is how they prosper together with community, identity, and stability, right?
Stability.
So the this book got me thinking though, like, it's like you see this time and time and time again, like, with even things like stoicism, in the way that modern day stoicism is thought of, or you see it with like Spock, and how he is the rational logical man that doesn't have any emotions. Like you just see this over and over and over again throughout, like I feel like humanity, where we constantly are just like shitting on our emotions, and we're like, if we could just get these stupid emotions out of the way, like we'd be able to prosper and live like a great happy normal life, and it'd all be, it all, well, we could figure this thing out, right? Like, and humans can be a better, humans can be better without these emotions, right? I mean, you know what I'm talking about, right? Like it's that's like a common theme all the time. It feels like with like
Sounds awful.
dystopian, and you get my point, right? So the uh it start like, as I've gone through this whole entire journey, and as I continue to go on this entire journey, the more and more that I've learned, like emotions are not just not our enemy. They're like probably the coolest things about humanity, right? Like I mean, they're there for a reason. There may be a lot of noise, but like if you can dive in, if you can hone in on it, understand why you're doing what you're doing, it's really a signal, right? You can find the signal in all that noise of what is causing this, and point you in the right direction. So like, unfortunately for people like in the Brave New World, in this dystopian paradise, they have no, they don't do anything. They don't produce anything. They don't do anything. All they do is just consume shit all day long and try to moderate their emotions out of their system. And they have no fun. They just walk around and have sex for fun, kind of thing, because they don't do it for procreation anymore or anything along those lines, because they have like a baby making factory where they make the
But
babies.
there's no
And
emotion, so how can you have fun?
I don't know. I mean, like so my point is like, we these there's this general perception, I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like most people think like, if we can just think more logically, if we can just use our rational brain, if we can take our emotions out of it, and we can find a better path forward. Like, I'm actually arguing the exact opposite. And I think you and I argue the exact opposite of this all the time, of like beavering on purpose. Is There's a lot of noise, like I said, but like, find the signal in the noise of like, why do I like to do this, and go deeper. Use your logic then to go deeper as to what draws these emotions out of you. Why is it happening? And then how can you go harness those to go drive yourself and go run downhill? That's that's really what this journey has a lot been about. Is like one of the key discoveries I feel like both of us have discovered through this whole entire thing is, and we were talking about this, just before we hopped on this podcast. It is a similar topic, but like for me, it's just heart. This helped to further draw the line of, emotions are not our enemies. Like, I mean, I'm so sick and tired of everybody blaming emotions as bad things, and like, and building these dystopian worlds around this stuff and telling us that it is a bad thing. They're not the bad guy. Like, so if you actually ironically want stability, in my opinion, or stability, like, listen to your emotions and embrace them, and they will take you into a more stable place, because you will be doing stuff that you can do over and over and over again with love and joy and all the other things coming together, versus regulating your emotions out of you and not knowing what you're doing at all for any reason. Like you're just doing, and just doing to do in this world will never be in my opinion, a way for stability going forward in the future, because eventually like you're gonna just fall apart. Nobody just does shit to do shit, and if you do, you crumble. Like, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I'll pause there. I'd love to get your thoughts.
I mean, it's like your emotions are like your scouts. I mean, you think about an army, right? Let's say you're an army, your emotions are your scouts. It tells you what's going on, right? If something is bothering you, that means you're not in the wrong place.
Right.
If you put your hands on the stove, right, you're gonna have some kind of emotion, some kind of distress, right? They say, hey, that's not where you're supposed to put your hand. If you don't have emotions, your hand is gone. Your hand's burned out.
Right.
So whether or not you're angry, whether or not you're sad, whether or not you're bored, right? It is a signal. It's your scouts are telling you these are the information that I've gathered from the surrounding, and I am warning you that it's not within our system parameters. We need to move away or move towards. And basically, this is your cue. Imagine you don't have any kind of sight. Your emotion is essentially your feelers. It guides you through life.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at the people who say, a condition say emotion is in the way. I mean, the thing is they don't understand the emotion is there to protect them, because if they have no emotions, there's nothing to live for. Because
Right.
you think about somebody who
That's exactly what this
is
book was about.
emotionless. I
Yep.
mean, you think about the number of suicides in our world today. What are they correlated with?
Unhappiness. I mean, like
Depression.
lack of purpose, depression. I
Depression,
mean, yeah, yeah.
right? So the emotion of depression, the emotion of boredom,
Right.
that's what you get. So to me, if you don't have anything to rile up your emotions, there is no tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
What's the point of tomorrow if there's nothing to live for? What are you doing on Earth? It's like, okay, if everybody's the same, then if I'm not here, well, the other guy that's can take my place easily. I'm a commodity. There's no
Right.
need for me to be here. So the thing is, people need to have a purpose. And the way we're built, like the way humans are built, is different. We need that emotion. It's just because I mean, I really like this phrase. And I got this from Snow. Snow, the way it's life is in a transition, right? We want to move to the next stage. So that's what moves us. That's what keeps us going. It's just because we want to go to the next place. This is why The Alchemist is so powerful. This is why even some of the books that we read so far, it's all about, okay, we are yearning for the next thing, but the thing we want is already what we had. We just didn't realize it until we have to go around this loop, this
Right.
journey to go back to say, hey, the treasure is actually in my backyard. And so I see that a lot of people um, say that, hey, emotions is the enemy. But the moment they lose emotion, they're gonna know they make a mistake. They will
Yeah.
understand that, hey, emotion isn't my enemy at all. That's the thing is people have that people say, hey, the grass is greener on the other side. This is what people say. They don't know. They've never seen the grass on the other side. They say, my grass isn't as green. I just imagine it's green on the other side, so I'm chasing for that thing. So people
Right.
say, hey, emotion is bad, but even though emotion is what saves them, but then the bigger thing is they say, well, it saves you, but it carries on some negativity to it, just because there's always the two sides to every coin. Two edge, like a sword has two edges, right? And
I
so
mean,
everything has a pros and a con. And so when they enjoy the positive, they took for granted, and then any tiny negative, now it's a ding, right? When you have a ding, then they say, well, this is bad. We don't want a ding. So there's not. So whenever you switch it, so instead of getting 9 benefit and 1 ding, you switch it around. You get 9 ding, 1 benefit. And then you're gonna
right.
say, oh, 4. Let me have the other one back.
Exactly. Well, like so unexamined emotions is chaos. Like, I mean, and it can be overwhelming, like unexamined
But the thing
emotions.
is, I don't I mean, to me, I don't see there's unexamined emotion, because emotion is something that we have to examine. It's just the forefront of our
Well, but
lives.
it's
So
not like we don't have to examine emotions. There's a lot of people that don't examine their emotions. Like they do it every day. They just go to the doctor and they say, "Give me a benzo," or they say, "Give me some Zoloft," or they give me some antidepressant or something like that, or give me something to take this emotion away because I don't want to deal with
no,
it, right?
I don't
Like
think that's the case, because it has to be conditions. And the thing is, it's conditioned because then it's you have, let's say you say, hey Chris, I think you too hyper. You need to go and calm down, take some Zoloft. Would you do it?
no.
You wouldn't do
Well,
it.
okay. So
You
here
wouldn't do it. The reason why I
let
say
me
that is because
wait hang on. Let
naturally,
me answer that question a little bit deeper because it's not that I wouldn't do it. It's that if I had spent time examining my behavior and I said I don't like the way that I feel when I do get like because there's sometimes when I would like play poker, right? I've told you like I didn't like that feeling of my hyperactivity around that particular activity. I could have kept going down that rabbit hole and never examined this stuff and never figured that out, that it wasn't beavering on purpose for me and that I wasn't in control of those emotions at that point in time. Like and then I maybe would have said yes to that because I would have it would have gone so far out of control that I had not figured out the noise, the signal to the noise, I guess, if you will. And then I would have said, okay, God, just please do something to take this away from me right now because I can't figure it out, right? Like, and I don't want to figure it out. I just want somebody to give me an answer. It's no different than what we were arguing about the other day about the antibiotics conversation. You go to the doctor and you want your child to feel better, and they're like, here you go. Here's some antibiotics. Well, does he really need this? Well, I mean, if you want to go away fast and you want to get him back to the to daycare or whatever, then here's some antibiotics. But like, is this a necessary thing? Well, I mean, that's up to you to determine as the parent. But like, here's a solution for you. If you want a quick fix, like here you go. My point is like,
but that's the thing is you would actually take it yourself. You give it to your kid. That's different. That's what I'm saying
right,
is you won't say, hey, give me that thing, right? It's only when someone else condition you to do it. Like we condition our child to do it. And then whenever they grew up, they say, well, my parents give me
yeah,
this, so now I'm gonna take it. So
I gotta get back to school,
that
take the pill.
so the thing is, without, like, let's say no one told you that before, no one conditioned you to do that. You wouldn't do that. You're gonna want to try to figure it yourself. That's human nature, right? Human nature
yeah,
is we yearn for discovery. So whether it's something we need to fix or whatever, we are gonna do it. So we're not gonna say, well, I'm gonna give up and I'm going to take this pill, right? Even if you take the pill, you say, well, that pill is gonna give me a solution. I'm gonna try the pill. I'm experimenting it. So we as a human species, by nature, we are always examining. That's why
oh
I
for sure.
disagree with the point is unexamined emotions, because if we don't examine our emotions, there's two things that are possible: we're not human, or we are conditioned to do so.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, I certainly think that like in modern day world, like I think this whole thing with Luca is a perfect example.
But
Um,
he's not
we,
choosing it himself. You chose it for him.
Well, I know. I was going to say like the reason why talk about conditioning, like we have to go to work. Like my wife and I, we both have jobs. Like and therefore, like, look, this may not be the perfect solution, but like if this satisfies other people because we threw some antibiotics down his stomach and or down his throat and it maybe did something, whatever, got him. Maybe it worked, maybe it didn't work. It doesn't really matter. Other people think it maybe did, and he seemed to be okay. So let's shove him back into the daycare because we got to go back to work, right? Like
I
it's a
mean,
time constraint.
this is what that's the lab called, like, the
Don't run for trains. I mean,
I
honestly, it's
mean,
exactly
I
what
think
it
it's
is.
like if you give, if let's say you give a drug to an animal, right, and he gets better, right? You say, well, the drug, you know, uh, saved him. The drug
Right.
make him better. If you give him the drug and he dies, and you say, well, this disease is too powerful for the drug. You never blend the fucking drug just because you conditioned to think that way.
Yeah. I
But
mean,
like in reality, do you know if the drug actually kills the animal? Let's say you give it like your dog, whatever, some
no
kind of
idea.
antibiotic, and then he dies, and you say, well, why he died? Well, he died because he was too old. You kind of find all kind of fucking excuses for it. But who knows that that drug that you give him is actually the cause of his death?
Could be, or it could be,
But
or it could have been a butterfly effect
how
that
does
set
anyone
into.
know?
I mean, it could have been a butterfly effect that set into motion stuff that happened 10 years later. You know, or that you don't even know. You know what I
It
mean?
tip, yeah, maybe
But
he took enough dosage, and then this dosage put him over the edge to tipping it, the tipping point. But that's
right,
what I'm saying is no one knows, but everybody's conditioned to say, well, it's
take the
always like,
pill.
okay, just like we were talking about like God, right? When I did something great, no, God is in charge, and when I did something bad, you the one who did bad. God didn't do nothing.
Right. No, it's I the what I was no, I think it's a good point. What I was trying to get to with bringing that up, the example is the time constraint in modern day life is we don't even have time to examine. So talk about conditioning, like we've
So the
conditioned
thing is,
the
the
time to
time is being
examine.
conditioned. Yeah,
Yeah,
we've
we
been
can yeah,
conditioned to not have time.
yeah, exactly. We have no time to even examine our
But we're talking
emotions, you
about we
know.
are the
Right.
we when we were born, we were what, at time billionaires,
Right. Yeah, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Right? You the one who told me that. So
Yeah.
we're time billionaires. So what you talking about? You telling me that we have no time, and we're conditioned to say, hey, there's no time.
Yeah. I mean, we got to get back to work.
So where does that
We
come
gotta
from?
get back to life, I don't know. I mean, it's from society.
So
It's
it's
from what we're
conditioning,
conditioned
right? So
into. Yeah, yeah.
you agree with me?
I
This
agree.
is conditioning. We are conditioned to that. So we are right now. We are teaching you. You are teaching your kids how to live the conditions of your society.
Right.
I'm teaching my kid how to live the condition of my surrounding or my, our society, right?
Yep.
We live in the same country, so it's our society, right? Our society is the same. I'm just saying, hey, in the case that you live in another country, your culture is different. You condition your kids in those society. For
Right.
example, in Asia, right? Regardless of how wrong a parent is, you cannot disobey them. If they tell you to drink poison, you cannot disobey them, right? So that's conditioning. To me,
Good Ford. Jesus Christ. That's Ford. That's Ford crazy, man. I mean, that's
it is.
yeah.
That's what I'm saying is that we are conditioned. We are
Right.
being conditioned while growing up. So if you live in a society where we've been created being free, then you would not actually would put that on yourself. As a natural being, as a natural human being, your natural instinct is to can examine it. That's how we are as a human. This is a single trait that makes us human. We
I
examine ourselves
I agree.
because everything revolved around us. This is where we call it self-esteem. Even in the face of community's sake, we do it for ourselves. Because let's say, like I told you before, I cannot go out and hunt a woolly mammoth by myself. In a month, I might not even find one. I may manage to kill one. So I would have been dead, at the end of the 3 months or whatever, if I were to participate in hunting and getting a slice of it. That actually benefits me. And we have the ability to have thoughts on thoughts. This is why we are able to do that, because we can think about our thought can think about its thought,
Right.
right? This you know is what separates you from the animal. Because the animal has thought, but they don't have thoughts on thoughts. So that's why for
We
us,
think. I mean,
as
we
far as
think.
human,
Maybe they're just so
concerned, right?
more involved. They could be just so that much more involved than us. That they're just like, these idiots. They haven't got to the thoughts on thoughts on thoughts. And then and our dog is just
Regardless,
walking around going,
if they have thoughts
hmm,
on thoughts, they be ruling the world. I don't, man.
hey,
I'm just throwing
one could
it.
argue that I work for my dog, and I don't. I mean, she does nothing around here.
No, you're
And
conditioned for that. You're
I'm
conditioned for
kidding. I know. I was kidding.
that.
I was kidding.
I
Anyway,
mean,
sorry.
there's certain things that even though I don't know shit, but sometimes it's not always like completely idiot in that
Right.
regard. I said, well, I don't know exactly what it is, but I can say, hey, there is a ballpark vicinity. Maybe it's on this side. It's on the left side versus the right side, right?
Right.
At least I know, hey, right side dark, left side's light. At least I can tell the difference between that,
Right.
right?
Maybe.
So
Yeah.
it's not to say that, yeah, you know a lot of stuff, but you know some stuff, and this is some stuff comes from your emotion, and this is your human nature. Your nature gives you that. That's your ability.
I believe.
You have that because of the combinations of genes and patterns of DNA that you have that gives
Right.
you that ability. So you have this emotion that guides you. Say, hey, this is something that say this is good, this is beneficial for your system, for your survival, for your primary directive. We have a primary directive, which is to survive. You know that,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
I don't care. I don't care what you are and how you think. Your primary directive is not different from mine. It is to survive. That's your primary. So the primary directive is the emotion say, well, you do this, right? It actually going to hurt you in your primary directive, or it benefits you in your primary directive. And
Mhm.
so that emotion is essentially those fillers and those guards, those scouts out there that's telling you, hey, over there it's bad because I have the ability, the natural ability to feel and understand and remember my past life. That if I touch this stove or this fire or this whatever, this snake or whatever, it's going to kill me. The lion's going to kill me, and
Right.
I'm gonna cease to exist, and I violated my primary directive. So these feelings, these emotions, these feelings are
Yeah.
histories on histories of experiences that you have passed on. Our genes, like
Billions of
whatever,
years, you know.
whatever your genes, right, has experience and whatever it modify into, and you have kid, that memories is passed on to your kid,
Right. Yeah.
right?
I mean, for sure.
And so that is your emotions, and you think your emotion in that patterns in that way. How can you say your emotion is your enemy? If you do that, it's not logical.
I agree. I mean, without a doubt. I mean, that's why it's like I think there's just I think there's I think it's natural to see these things as throwing our stability into a loop. When you do, when really strong emotions rise, you can't really make sense of and figure out how to navigate with in this world, and to blame them. I mean, I think that's natural, but it goes back to like what you were saying about the selfish gene. It, it's not logical necessarily. If everything you do is supposed to be in your selfish order, then why would helping somebody else somehow, we understand now, like obviously helping, like you said, you can eat a mammoth versus a squirrel, but like if you work together with somebody else, and if you're more friendly and if you're more kind, like, but to think, what's
Those are the
selfish, like,
memories of our ancestor that say, hey, if
right.
you, these are the experimentations that and our ancestor did. There
But it's
are
counterintuitive.
the
It's
people
not
that
logical.
continues to act alone and go kill squirrels, or go find like bugs and dung beetles and to eat. They don't survive that long. They violate the primary directive, and the people actually work together as this humble puppy characteristic was able to thrive. Those
Right.
memories has been passed on, so that's why we from the selfish gene understands that because of that kind of memory.
Right. No, no, I mean that's what I'm getting at is like it's counterintuitive, right? Like it isn't just the first logical, like, first order, like, see what you see right in
But
front of
some
your
of
face,
most of
right?
our emotions are actually counterintuitive
Exactly. That's what I meant. Like it doesn't make sense for a reason until you figure out, like, and you let it play
because
out and
there
you
are thoughts
process
on
it and you
thoughts on
like
thoughts on thoughts and
exactly
memories on memories
it's
on memories. So
exactly right.
it's actually much more examined than
Exactly.
you could ever be able to examine in our lifetime, because
There's
these are
and
millions of experiences that has
there's
been tacked on and piled on and passed down to us. We see this. So this is why our emotions are so strong. Say, well, if I do this, I mean, like I say, if why are you afraid, and why the emotion of fear of unknown is so rattling?
I
Why do
don't
you think
know.
that is?
I mean, I guess because
Well,
we
you know that's just what I'm talking about. You know, because there are experiences from millions of stackable experiences that tells you this thing, the risk things, is gonna violate your primary directive so much that this one goes to the top of the priority list. It goes to the top priority list when you
right.
have some kind of,
It makes you problem
some
solve.
kind of
Is it
anxiety. You don't think about anything else. You don't think about, oh, should I be friend of that person, or no, I gotta fix this thing pronto. I'm not gonna say, well, what I'm going to eat tomorrow. Oh, I should eat this or that. No, I gotta fix this pronto. If there's a rustling in the bush, I'm going, sure, what the hell? I should I run?
Right.
This is all you think about. You don't think about anything else. You don't even think about sex. You don't think about nothing. You think about if
Right.
that thing's gonna kill me, right?
I was gonna show you.
It just trumps everything.
A note that I just took from Taleb, as I was going back through the Black Swan, because now that the Yoml is officially over, and I'm going back through some other stuff. It this kind of hit me yesterday as I was listening to this. Of our job is to turn problems and then turn it into academics, right? We're going to go study. Like, find a problem, go study. Like you said, you got an emotion, you got fear, like, you got a problem. Like, I don't know what it is. We don't know where it is. I have anxiety. I have a problem. Like, I have, I'm happy. I mean, in a weird way, like, I guess you don't have a problem, but like, you could, if you wanted to, you could try to figure out what that problem. Anyway, go study that, right? Like, versus the other way around of what we often do is, we study some shit and then we try to go find a problem with it, and it's really funny when you think of it like that, right? Of like, emotions are our problem signals, that's like, hey, you got a problem, like, like, you need to go figure this out. Don't just go pop a pill and like, and numb it away like you do with, like, in this book with, like, Soma, like, every single day or whatever. Like every time that any emotion, they are conditioned from day one to say, like, you get an emotion, don't examine that, like, just pop a fucking pill and keep going on about your day. It's stability, like, it's all about stability, right?
That's the thing is, if I pop the pills, then why would I go on about my day?
I don't know. Like, that's
what's
what
a day?
that's what
What's a
happens
day? I mean, I have no emotion. There's nothing for me to look forward to. It's like, oh, I'm gonna go play tennis. I'm gonna play tennis. Are you going to go play? I'm gonna go play tennis.
That's why
right.
in this
So
book,
there is nothing. Why would you even go to play tennis if you don't have to go to play tennis? Why would you go to work if you don't have to go to work?
They just meander through life doing casual, stupid things, like, in this entire book, which is the point, right?
I'm telling
Like,
you, if you
should read
take
this book.
pill, man, to me, is the way I understand humans, based on what I know about me, is if you give me that pill, I would do absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing, because there's
That's exactly what they do. They don't do anything.
The engine doesn't turn. There is no power. There's no potential for a thing to fluctuate. So there's no power for engine. The engine just stops.
Monotony compresses time, right?
How can I go about my day? To me, it does not make any logical sense. If there's nothing to turn the gears, how can anyone move? How can somebody go about that day? So to me, this is, in a way, I completely don't understand where they get this logic from. Because, like I said, if you give me Zoloft,
logic. Like,
if you give me Zoloft,
right?
What do you think I would do?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Like, I mean,
if I happen to be on the couch, I stay on the couch. If I happen to be in bed, I stay in bed. I don't do anything. Wherever I am, it's where I will be.
You're Sherman in a shed.
So for me, it's like you're telling me pop in this summer pill and go about my day. It's like, I don't understand where you get that from. What kind of universe is this, right? You don't get something from nothing. There has to be something in your engine for it to turn. If it doesn't turn, it doesn't move.
We need novelty. We need problems to solve. We need to be, like you said, the reason why it said this is a good segue from where we were at.
In real life, if somebody took you Zoloft, they actually don't do anything.
No, I mean,
they don't do anything. They don't want to go about their day. They don't even go to work.
It numbs you. I mean, in who, like, a numbed
basically
life
the guy that if you took Zoloft, right, you just sit there like this. Whatever your natural your natural state of your body, it's how you will. If you're drooling, you're gonna drool. If you stick your tongue out, you stick your tongue out. If you close your eye, you close your eye. Whatever it is, you're gonna sit there. You are like a vegetable. There's not going about your day. So to me, it's illogical. I cannot process that.
Well, it's not illogical when you see entire freaking philosophies written about it. And to be clear, like, we've talked about this with the Stoics. Like, I actually think the Stoicism is all about the space between stimulus and response as your freedom to choose. and processing emotions is really what I think Stoicism is really about. What it has become in pop culture is, the removing emotions from the equation, basically, and being emotionless is really what it's become in pop culture to people that I don't think understand the what's behind it. But either way, my point is, what I'm getting at is, like, people like Spock, people like, like we talked about before, books like this, it's you hear people, I don't know, you even hear like scientists or whatever. It's
I mean,
always
to
just,
me,
it's always
Spock is
rational, logical,
also
mathematics,
irrational.
right? What's that?
It's also irrational,
Yeah,
right? Because there's nothing to move him. The thing is for him to say, "Hey, I want to be this person. I want to be this mathematician. I want to be this pilot." Well, it's not logic that drives you.
what I
So,
mean,
so
to be a pilot.
in the Vulcan, right? In the Vulcan,
Oh,
right? In the Vulcan
I don't know.
world,
I don't
right?
know much about Spock, the Star
Well,
Trek
you're the
world, but
one
yeah.
who introduced Spock.
Well, no, I just know that he's the guy that doesn't have, like the Vulcans, like, don't have emotions, right, or whatever, isn't that right? Like Vulcan.
It's not the emotion that we think of, but there is emotion. But like I say, the Vulcan doesn't have emotion just for the fact that they don't express it.
Oh, they still have them. They just don't express emotions.
That's what I'm saying is they are emotions. But that's how it makes him turn. That's make him want to, like in the Vulcan world, right? You have
Right.
different jobs. You can be a scientist, or you can be a soldier. You can be, space captain or whatever. They have wants and desire. Okay, that cannot come from logic alone.
Hmm.
Okay, so you have to have emotions. It's not that don't have emotions, because if you say that, that fictional world doesn't make sense to me either.
Right. They just don't
Because
express them.
for me, it's, you could say I'm kind of like more Vulcan like than you are, right?
Yeah.
So I ought to understand a bit better than you in terms of that, because having this introvertness to say, hey, I don't express them, doesn't mean I don't have them.
Oh, for sure. I mean, and I think that's what I was trying to get at with Stoicism, is like, the whole point is to have emotions, but then to process them, and then through processing them, decide how you want to act. If you want to act like a shithead, then act like a shithead, and or you want to get pissed off at somebody, then get pissed off, but like do it because you chose to do that versus not. You know what I mean? Like I don't have. I mean, I think with most people, when they think about it and they have a chance to examine their emotions, go, do I really want to tell True that he's a piece of shit right now?
You should,
You
you
know,
should, because I think
only if you want, only if you want to.
no, I think the world is better off, because the thing is, if I'm a shithead, then you tell me I'm a shithead, and that you have would have nothing to do with me. And
Yeah, that's true.
if I need your assistance, I will change my behavior.
It's a good point.
Okay?
Yeah,
Because in this world today, in this modern world, you are protected from being offended. You are being the worst person ever, and you don't even know it. No one told you.
right.
Okay? You're being delusional, and no one told you. You think you're doing the right thing. It's called oblivious.
Yeah.
You are wrong by thinking you're right. You are oblivious. This is the worst
Yep.
thing that can ever happen to you. So I would rather you tell me, because if we live in a world where the
Oh,
civil
it's
rule
encouraged.
applies, right? The civil applies. That means that if I want to not be bashed by people, I won't bash other people, right? That means that I have to self-examine myself. But if I have no feedback, how can I examine myself? To me,
It's
the world is actually better off, but in the 70s and 80s, where people are honest and, hey, that guy's a piece of shit. Do I want to be a piece of shit? Oh, I don't. I need to change, because I don't live by myself. I
I
live with other people. So I'm going to change.
think
I'm going to change to get the self-esteem satisfied, because I need to be part of that community to hunt the woolly mammoth, to get my rations, to get my portions of my contribution to society. And to me, society will benefit better if you do it that way. Right now, everybody being pampered. Everything, hey, you can't call me that. You can't call me stupid. Like, fuck you, stupid, you stupid, right?
yeah.
Like, I'm helping you by telling you, by reflecting back at you what you put out. If you like it, you keep it. If you don't like it, change it.
Right.
Right?
No, I
You
think
will
you make
change.
a
To
I think you
me,
make a
to
good
me,
point,
you will
honestly.
change. I will change because if you treat me badly, I'm gonna say, what the fuck did you treat me badly? Did I do something wrong?
Right.
Right? Or just him being a jerk, right? I'm gonna examine myself regardless. I'm gonna examine the world regardless.
Good point.
Because
No,
don't
I think it's a great point.
don't pamper anyone like that, right? That's what I'm
I
saying is
I think it's actually the opposite's encouraged in the business world at this point in time of, you know, the people that are more short-sighted and barky and you know, getting it done, you know, GSD, like get shit done, you know, kind of people, you know, like I've told my team this many a times now. I don't like to coordinate operational efforts of stuff that I don't even like to do, but I do it. And here's what happens is I get really barky and I get really shitty with people and I get really angry. And I get really
it just means you shouldn't be doing it.
it means I shouldn't be doing it. Right. This is what I'm saying is I can do it. Don't get me wrong. I know what's expected of me in this environment. It's I got to go start barking orders to people, and I got to go start, you know, I got to get this stuff done, you know, and I gotta make it happen, right? And I don't give a shit if I run over people or if I don't run over people. They're in my way, you know. And like the truth of the matter is I hate that about myself. Like I hate
That's not
that
who you.
feeling,
That's
you
not
know,
who you want to
when I do
be.
that.
That's not who you are.
It's not who I
The
am. I mean,
emotion tells you, and this is not good for your collective being.
the environment tells me that it is, right, you know.
You're
So like
conditioned for it.
this is where like the conflicting, you know, like, you know, the conditioning versus, you know, the not, like I'm saying in this environment, me being barky and getting shit done sometimes is not just encouraged, but it's kind of my job, you know. I'm not saying that it's somebody's ever told me that, but like if I just sat back passively and was like, all right, everybody, just take your time,
Well,
nobody take control
you
of
need to
this,
get that hypnotized.
I wouldn't have a job. Well, but I wouldn't have a job if that was the case, right? You know, like
No,
it's
no, no. You don't have that job.
I wouldn't have that job. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
No, that's what I'm saying is
Right.
liberty or death, but you have a choice. So
Yeah, no, that's
don't
fair.
ever tell me, yo, I need this job. No, you don't need that
No,
job.
no, I don't need the job.
You
No, I
just
mean,
need
yeah,
you need a job, but not that
right.
job,
Yeah,
right?
no,
You
no,
don't
I
need a
agree.
job. You say it's fitting, then I'll do the job for exchange for the value that I deem fair.
Right.
This is what we do as human beings. Like I exchange my time and my skills for something of value that I deem fair. If I pay you $1, right, in exchange, but you don't deem fair, then well, you won't take it, right?
Right.
That's just human nature. So you are gonna exchange your skills and time for a value that you deem fair. You say, "How? What is it fair?" Well, for me personally, it's gonna be, 100,000, 200,000, 500,000, whatever that is. It's just you. I mean, no one can decide that, but you have to decide that yourself. But that's the thing. It's that job. It's not a job, right?
Oh yeah.
So so the thing is, you can be, I like to be the laid back person. You heard the story of the boy asking his dad, what is his life worth,
Mm-mm.
right? So basically, the story goes something like this. I need to paraphrase, but a kid, trying to he goes to his dad and say, "Hey, dad, what is the value of my life?" And the dad told him to say, "Okay, I want you to take this stone, go to the market, and if anybody asks to buy it, just raise up two fingers, and don't say
Oh,
anything."
I have heard this one.
Right?
Yeah.
And so the thing is, so you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Your value isn't because you say, "Hey, I'm going to the market," and somebody come raise two fingers and say, "Hey, it's $2 for this piece of stone." Then that's your value. But you go to the museum, they're gonna pay you $200 because they say, "Hey, this value is 200." You go to a collector and this value is 200,000. Then that's it is. So the thing is, you deem whatever value that is fair to you,
Right.
and your value is determined by the fitting of
Mhm.
who the receiving and the giver. The receiver and the giver is not universal, and that's
Yeah,
not
I agree.
to the point where everything is the same. Nothing is universal.
I agree.
So you say,
I think
"Hey,
it's a good
my philosophy and
yeah.
my work ethic is I am a laid back person. I inspire. I don't force. I don't book." right? There are people who do leadership that way, and they make
Right.
a boatload of money. And you tell me, hey, you tell me this is the way the world works. You have to block orders at people for them to do. You go into the company as you go into the company tribe. You going to beg me to let you have the time to do the things that you want to do.
Right.
Whatever it is, if you say, hey, I love fishing, you're going to be fishing all day, and I can't even stop you from fishing. And I say, well, when you fish, all you have to do is just mark down every single places where you find fish. Just record the fish, right? That brings value to people. I go and tell you the map of all the fishes are. That brings
That's a good point.
value. But the guy,
Yeah.
the guy say, well, I'm this guy going out there. I'm going to fish, right? Fishing to most people, it's the most
It's the
boring thing.
worst.
There is can't do shit there. The only thing you do is
I
drink
hate
beer
it.
because you
Right.
can't talk because your fish gonna run away. You can't make any noises, and you go to the places where it's like 5 4 or 5 a.m. It's like
Yeah.
in the dark of
It's
night,
early as hell,
right? And
it's
so,
boring. Yeah.
but people do that. I mean, I have seen people who are fishermen, right? They do that day and day out, and they could not get enough of it. So I'm
Oh yeah.
telling you that you get to the point of people where say, I am this laid back person, manager, or whatever. They lay back um force multiplier. Let's call you
Right.
the laid back, leverage force multiplier kind of guy. Your job is to reduce the amount of time they go fishing, or to reduce the amount of time to go play golfing, or whatever it is,
Right. Yeah.
right? That's what I'm saying is there are people who make like 1,000, 100,000, 10, 100,000 times, not a hundred. These are, I mean, the 1% making like billion, and the other people making like 10,000, right? That's a huge magnitude difference.
Yeah.
But I'm saying is the style of management fits the receiver,
Oh, I agree.
right?
I mean,
So when you say, hey,
yeah.
I this is the world that I'm conditioned to do. I have to bulk orders, and if I don't have a job. That's not true, because that's just one way of looking at it.
I couldn't agree more. Obviously, like I mean that 100%. Like I mean, I constantly, after like before this journey, I would have said, well, I mean, it's what I have to do. After this journey and during this journey and where I'm going and where I'm continuing to go is, I mean, I tell my team this all the time at this point in time of like, I don't care the day that what I love to do in this job is outweighed by tipping scale. I'm like, I'm gone. Like I mean, like luckily, like I make sure that you go look at my schedule. Like most of my time is spent with my team, coaching, talking about bringing out their values, helping them to understand these kind of concepts as well, figuring out ways that we can do more of the stuff that they love to do, helping them to examine what they do love to do and not love to do, so we can either beaver on purpose or get the hell out. You know what I mean? Like those are the things that I really enjoy to do, and I'm calm, I'm relaxed, I'm fun, I'm the person that you talk to every night. Like the other side of me, I hate it. Like and I know it's just like we've talked about this with the gambling stuff in the past. Like it brings something out of me that I don't recognize. I have some skills in it. It's skills that I don't want. It's
I mean,
and I don't like who I
it's
am.
crossover skills.
Right.
It's crossover skills because, like I say, if you are very physical, and you're fit, you play tennis, right? That means you're athletic. Meaning, when you have an athletic skill, you can do it as something like, hey, I can go and I can jog, or I can run, or I can, I don't know, do some, uh, you know, physical uh, obstacle course or whatever. You can do
Right.
that, right? But doesn't mean you enjoy doing it. It's just an overlap,
Right. Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
You don't enjoy. I mean, it's say, hey, I have all of my faculties, right? I can
It
go
does bring
clean
me
toilets.
energy.
I
To
can
be
go clean
fair.
toilets, but it doesn't mean I want to clean toilets all day. You know what I'm saying?
Agreed.
Can do doesn't mean you should do,
Agreed.
right?
And yeah,
Can you do taxes? Can you do all this accounting? I am sure you can, but you're gonna hate it. Can you
well,
code? I think you can code, but you're gonna hate yourself.
I've tried both and I hated both. So
Exactly. But doesn't mean you can't do it. You can say, hey,
yeah,
I can go do something in Excel, blah, blah, blah. I've seen you do it. You can do like HubSpot and all that. But
right,
you don't enjoy doing that. You don't enjoy talking to people.
right, exactly.
That's what
Nope,
I'm
you're
saying is,
exactly right. Yeah.
can do doesn't mean you should do.
Well, so putting a bow on this
But
one for the night. Like I think Because we can talk about these topics for forever. But I mean, I don't know. I really enjoyed this book because it made me think, even more so about the power of our emotions and how much of a blessing they are versus, not the
You
opposite,
going
right?
to regret it if you are able to take away your emotions. I guarantee you that because your emotion is what keep you alive.
Agreed. Not only that, it's good. It's what makes life interesting. It's what keeps us problem solving. It's what keeps us
Well, at the end of the
it's
day, what
novelty
keeps you
seeking.
alive?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Uh,
So I mean, it's just embrace them. Like, I mean, embrace them head on and like figure it out, and
yeah, it's
examine
part of who
examine
you
them.
are. It's part of who you are. You
Right.
cannot say, "Hey, I don't like this." It's like, what do you mean you don't like it? It's who you are. If you don't like who you are, then there's nothing I can do. I'm sorry. You're unsavable.
Well, like aspects of who you are. But I mean, I'm sure there's certain areas you do like. Everybody has areas of their life they like about themselves. There's no way that they don't. But anyway, all right, that's another
Like I
topic
say,
for another
if you
day.
do, if you don't, then I can't save you.
That's fair. I would argue that even Charlie Manson, has things that he likes about himself.
Of
I
course.
mean, yeah. So anyway, question we can leave for everybody is are you running away from your emotions for the sake of stability? Maybe try the opposite and run right at them, and you'll find what you seek. Stability, stability. Awesome. All right, thanks for joining for the night, and looking forward to another fun conversation tomorrow.
Yep, can't wait. See you mañana.